Well, welcome to today's rant. Third try. The first one got locked up. If you were watching my first rant, my phone got locked up, something got locked up. We're kind of used to that kind of technical stuff happening when we have something especially important to say. So that kind of excites me when that thing happens. I don't get discouraged. I don't stop. I don't let it stop me. I just press on past it and I say, man, if I redo this again, I think I could do it better this time than the last time. And also, I tried this actually the third time. So hopefully this will be much better. So anyway, today's theme is politics by other means. And that was what Mark Nuttall wrote in his recent posting that we post to the Oak Initiative site, that is being called the use of our courts has become politics by other means, even the Supreme Court. And I think this is a huge tragedy. It's a destruction of justice within America. It's not the way the courts were designed. They weren't designed to be political means or political appendages of other people with other agendas or anything else. They weren't supposed to decide any case based on politics. So we have an issue. Do we really want another conservative justice? Now, to me, that's much better than what we've had. Just to get things back on track, probably yes, we do. We need another Scalia. We need another one who will start to moor the decisions of the Supreme Court to the Constitution instead of political initiatives and political agendas. But ultimately, we don't want either conservative or liberal. We do not want political justices. We don't want what our system was designed for were justices who sought justice, who would weigh decisions on the merits of the case and how it applied to actual law, not them making up laws, but how these cases applied to actual laws that had been passed by Congress or to the Constitution, if that were the case. Not where they make it up as they went, but for a long time, people have tried to use, and they've actually accomplished, turning our courts into being used for political means, for political agendas, to do an end run around our Congress, which is supposed to be the only branch of government that can bring forth legislation. Even the executive, even the president cannot legislate. He cannot make laws. Only the Congress can do that. That's why the president has to work with the Congress and through the Congress to bring about his agenda. But we've had things imposed on the whole country through the courts where they have made law. They have made morality, or I would say immorality, brought immorality on the whole land by letting themselves be used for political purposes instead of just seeking justice and judicial decisions. It's become an appendage of people with political agendas. And I'm praying for 9 righteous judges for our courts. And for the Lord to remove every political creature from our court system up and down the line. Supreme Court, let's start with that. But it should go up and down the line where there are no decisions made based on politics, but based on the merits of the case and that which already exists as law that has come through the lawful means, which is through Congress, as signed off by the president, made into law. Then the judges are supposed to weigh everything based on that, not whether they like it or not. That's not their place. So anyway, that's my opinion about the judicial. But now, how do we get so messed up? And we're so far afield. Our courts are as dysfunctional, if not much more so, than our government is. And it could hardly be more dysfunctional right now. And there's some things, it's going to take some, I think it's going to take a level of leadership and resolve that we just have not seen emerge. I think it's going to take the kind of incredible genius and insight and willingness to sacrifice on the part of leaders to preserve our republic as was required to found the republic. And I think, as our founding fathers, they risked their lives, their fortunes, their sacred honor, which they really risked. They were going up against the most powerful empire in the world is just a bunch of colonies that weren't even united at the time. And they won, they prevailed. But they really risked those things, and they had a lot to risk. Those who signed the Declaration of Independence were of the top 1% wealthiest people in the country. The only revolution in history that was started and led by the wealthy. That had never happened before. It hasn't happened since. Find one. But I think they knew what they were doing. They knew they esteemed liberty over all their possessions, even over their own lives, that their children might know liberty, might know freedom. It says where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's liberty. And liberty requires two things. I think it is reflected in Psalm 89 where the Lord said, righteousness and justice are the foundation of his throne. We need a clear definition of righteousness that is right, what is right in the sight of the Lord. He created us, this is his earth. He laid down his life to redeem it. It belongs to him. It's his definition of righteousness that we want. And much of what is considered the teachings in Scripture on righteousness, about 1/3 of them have to do with stewardship, how we manage the resources and the wealth and all that is entrusted to us. Has a whole lot to do with the way God views righteousness. So it's doing what is right in the sight of the Lord, but then there's got to be justice. He really deeply cares that people are treated fairly. And he established the most fair system and built on principles of fairness. Didn't matter how much money you had, how much power you had, how much authority you had in government, justice was the same for all. And it's supposed to be that way in this country. It's just long ago departed from that. To me, we've had a case, our own case, going through the system of justice right now. And it has been profoundly shocking how really messed up our system of justice is. And I knew going into this is about a whole lot more than us finishing that tower. And that's important to us. That's property that belongs to God's people. Talking about the high-rise building that was unfinished on the heritage property that we bought. We had it appraised, and it was valued at between $11 and $15 million. We had the best engineering firm we could get, one of the two best in the South, the entire South, come and do a thorough examination of it. They x-rayed every wall, every floor, every ceiling. They went through that building because we said, you got to put your name on this. You got to put your stamp on this when it's finished. That's what we're paying for. And they were willing to do that. They finished examining. They were willing to put their stamp on, say, this thing is not only in great shape, they said it was built years ahead of its time. And it's still in great shape. And then recently, we've asked for another engineering study to come and just verify that it is still in that good a shape. Our preliminary findings are, yes, it is. So we have property worth between 11 and 15 million as it sits. It's an eyesore right now, but all the flaws in the building are superficial. They're just it looks bad because some of the bricks falling off. That's where they had the crane attached and everything. But it's not bad. It's in great shape. And then we have federal law and South Carolina state law that states clearly no government entity can inhibit or prohibit any religious organization from developing their own property. Do you think what the York County, South Carolina has done to us would be violation of those laws? I think it profoundly violates both of them. When you get into the weeds of how they've done this to us, you won't believe what was done to us right here in America. You are going to be shocked. You're going to be shocked at how the judicial system handled our case or has mishandled our case. We're going to present it to you. We'll present it in detail. I've been saying that for a long time. We've just been waiting for the right time. We're going to get into detail. We're going to lay it out. We're going to let anybody from the media come and examine anything they want to about this issue, but we're not going to give up finishing that tower. It's ours. It's our property. The government they're supposed to protect people like us, protect religious liberty. There has been a very basic violation of our First Amendment constitutional right that we believe we are going to be able to prove in court when we can get this in front of a jury. We think it's going to be it's going to be as clear as it can be to anyone. We're going to put it in front of you now because we have so many people requesting what is going on with the tower. It's the number one question I get asked. We're going to answer. You deserve an answer. We believe it belongs to everyone who's invested any amount in this ministry. That belongs to you. We're just stewards of it, and we're trying to be the best stewards we can because that is a part of our mandate from God. To do what is right in His sight is to be the best steward we can. We want to see it finished and used for the best means for His kingdom that it possibly can. But we're under incredible assault by our own government, our own local government. Even the Charlotte Observer one time, that's been known all over the world as attacking Christians and Christianity, they wrote in an article, we don't understand why the York County won't just let them finish their building. And we got a lot of articles like that stopped up. But we're, of course we get negative ones too. That's part of the process. But I knew all along this was bigger than our little case. Our big case. It was a huge case to us, but little compared to things that are going on in the world today. But I tell you, it's not little. You can see in our case, and I don't want to say what happens with us in our case is happening everywhere in the country, every court, because that's not the case. That is not true. But I think it is more the rule than the exception. As this has been done to us, I have done research. I've done a lot of research. I've read books. I've studied this. I think it is one of the best reflections I think we're going to see of what Thomas Jefferson warned about as being the biggest threat to our country, judicial tyranny. One of the main purposes, main responsibilities of every judge in a court system is to be sure that all relevant evidence for the case get presented fairly. They threw all of our evidence out, not just some, all of it. And every bit of it was legitimate. When you get into the weeds of what was done to us in our court right here in this county, you're not going to believe it. We get into what happened when we ran it up for appeal, a South Carolina court. We've got evidence they didn't even look at our case. They just rubber stamped. I said, we got evidence. Maybe we're wrong there, but we've got evidence. They did not even look at the case. Now, that's their reputation. I don't know if it's totally true. I hope it's not. Their reputation is they just rubber stamp whatever the lower court sent up to them. And we think something really foul has been done right here in the local courts. So we're going to the federal court. We have rights. We have standing. Our basic constitutional right, our First Amendment right, has been violated. We think very clearly. And I think when we get our evidence in front of any jury, they're going to be absolutely shocked at what has been done to us through our court system. Now, we would have preferred everything had been treated right. That we would have been treated right. It was when I asked for a jury trial because of what we thought was really prejudicial decisions by the judge in our case that we thought were extreme prejudicial. I didn't trust him anymore. I said, I demanded a jury trial. I didn't trust the judge to give us justice. And I demanded a jury trial, so he basically threw out all of our evidence. I said, fine, you can take it to a jury, you just won't be able to take your evidence with you. And what kind of deal is that? What kind of deal is that in America? That's what you expect in, I don't even want to say, third world or banana republics or things, because it's not that bad in a lot. We deal in a lot of countries. Through our missions all over the world, we've dealt with a lot of different judicial systems. And listen, we're thankful for ours. But it can be really messed up by bad people in it. You can have the best form of government in the world and still have bad government if you've got bad people in it. But ours, the bad people in it have twisted the whole system. They have so clogged it up, so distorted it, it is almost impossible to get justice on any level now in our U.S. judicial system. That's how bad it is. And I just used our case to study, is this going on everywhere? Yeah, pretty much everywhere. Not everywhere, but pretty much everywhere. It's the norm, not the exception. So we're going to be very vocal about it. We're going to present it to you. You deserve, this belongs to you, this property. If you've invested anything in our ministry, this property is we believe we're stewards for the body of Christ for this property. But even more than that, for Christ. And we want to see it used for the purpose of his kingdom as it was designed. We're going to fight. We're going to be fighting harder than ever. And you're going to see this coming out. I think you're going to see it on a national, if not international level of interest, because we're going to be very bold and very blatant in laying out this case and showing what was done to us, what has been done to us from the very beginning through a really twisted judicial system that shouldn't be that way. We've got to untwist our judicial system. I tell you, it's like being strangled and choked to death. Just like our federal government is choked to death by rules and regulations instituted by the deep state, by bureaucrats, not those who are the only ones with real authority to make laws and things like that. They've been overridden by the deep state, by the bureaucrats. The same has happened in our judicial system. It is mind-boggling. Well, can we be set free? Yes. We can get back and we can have true justice in America. And then I think we can have true justice in the world. And we start with me. I don't think we're going to have true justice or ultimate justice until the judge comes back, the judge himself, and makes everything right. But listen, we're here as salt and light to do the best that we can and to see that everybody gets treated fairly, regardless of their political standing or political position, regardless of whether they're wealthy or poor, powerful or have no voice, that here in this country they are treated fairly. But I don't think we have a chance of seeing that if we don't see God's people being the salt and light we're called to be. And so we will not allow this, not on our watch. We're not going to let this be stolen. Something very, very precious be stolen from this country or any others, as it behooves us that we will seek the righteousness, but also the justice for all people. Thank you so much for listening to today's rant.